The best Maduro moment ever is when he's giving that national address and then pulls an empanada out of his drawer and then eats it. Yo, what?
I haven't seen that. And I used to cover Venezuela.
Do you feel like the UK has their own Trump figure right now? Because I feel like there have been a couple people who have risen to notoriety, but no one quite rivals it.
I've never seen this.
Well, you need to see it.
That is funny.
Dude, you couldn't wait 30 seconds to finish your national address before eating the empanada?
It's Big Empanada. They're paying him to do this.
Big empanada.
Look, Venezuela is what happens when low cognitive function and evil people are left unchecked.
Yeah.
You get your leader while your nation is starving. He's eating an empanada on TV. and he's still there. What's to happen? A bus driver with no experience.
Well, you want to know what's interesting about Venezuela is that actually the Venezuelan economy has actually grown quite a bit in the last 2-3 years because he's had to just give up on the currency. So it's all dollarized. And he's had to, remove all the price controls. He's had to lift a load of tariffs. So Venezuela is actually doing a lot better than it was. It's still in a terrible place, obviously.
You know what he should do? He should make Bitcoin legal tender in Venezuela.
Well, that's what Bukele.
Right, it's working.
Bukele has done.
Yeah,
and no, Bukele is quite an inspiration actually. I mean, it's quite.
What did you
ugly.
think of his speech at CPAC?
I've got to be honest. Like, I didn't watch it because I kind of know what the kind of thing he said. But what I will tell you about is he absolutely schooled a BBC journalist the other day. And the journalist was saying, all these innocent people. And to be fair, there will be innocent people in El Salvador who have been imprisoned.
Of course.
And that's sad.
You can't help it.
But that happens in America, that happens in the UK, that happens everywhere. But to think that, I don't know the precise statistics, but I think it's 95%. To think that you could go out, right, and get murdered so easily, and now these streets are completely safe. I mean, that's an incredible achievement. A really incredible achievement.
And no matter, even though that there are people that, like innocent people that end up getting, scooped up and stuff, there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to complain.
Oh no, they love him.
It's like
they love him. They
only
absolutely
the people
love
outside
him.
of the country.
And this is, it's funny you were bringing up, you were talking about Drudge being kind of left of centre. I mean, I'm absolutely disgusted by Drudge nowadays. And I noticed they put a headline, although I do read it sometimes, and they put up a headline, calling him a dictator. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Did he get bought by the CIA? Is that what happened?
Well, actually, it's funny. It's funny because
Yeah.
conservatives think he's this hardline conservative, but he isn't. He actually comes from El Salvador's more socialistic party. I think he's kind of a maverick, and he's
Bukele
also
does?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Bukele does?
Bukele does.
Oh,
yeah.
I was talking about Drudge.
Oh, Drudge.
Yeah, was
oh.
Drudge bought by the CIA?
Oh,
why would Bukele?
Well, actually, I mean
He
that's
put
a good
Bitcoin-
question. You might have a better view on this. I mean, and I know it's a very people have talked about it a lot, but what actually happened? Did he sell it, or has he just gone off the rails?
What do you think?
My instinct is that he hasn't sold it, but I might be wrong. I mean, I really don't know. But
you mean like a private sale happened no one knows about?
Yeah, because he's a very secretive guy. I mean, he was a very strange figure, and he would keep that kind of thing private.
You were talking about Drudge?
Yeah, and he is obsessed with Trump, and he's also very anti Elon Musk as well.
Why is he anti Elon Musk?
Because he's a liberal now. I mean, I don't know what's going on there.
I mean, I just don't. Well, I mean, I do understand and I do see it. Just it's still. My gut reaction is still surprising for people to be like, oh, I don't like Elon Musk because of the things that he says on Twitter. It's like all of this history of him doing actual things that you loved up until he bought X.
Right.
And came.
He started talking to the wrong people.
Essentially started looking at the country and saying, hey, look, I don't like the things that I'm seeing with the government being too, trying to be too authoritarian. And like he notices that and starts speaking about it. And then it's like, oh, he's officially just a total bad person and deserving of as much animosity as
I think
Donald
it's okay
Trump.
to be skeptical of people, right? Like he's an extremely wealthy man who now controls all kinds of things. Like, yeah, don't just make anyone an idol. But I do think that there is weirdly this switch that happened where they said, well, you bought X and so now you're the enemy. And that to me seems such like a histrionic response.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I'm a big fan of Elon and I love what he's done with X. But I have noticed he's become quite partisan. And I don't actually think that
Elon?
that is yeah. And I don't.
In what way though?
Well, he's just pushing Republicans and conservatives on Twitter, which I love.
But no, you got to break that down. What do you mean?
Well, he's fighting all our arguments for us. On the border, on censorship, on corruption.
Those are only
I think that's a leftist narrative. That what you're saying.
Yeah, but I can understand. The point I was going to make was that I don't think he's foolish for doing this, but I think that
I'm gonna push back.
Okay.
Elon Musk is not partisan. The idea and claim that he is a leftist talking point to legitimize communist and Marxist ideas. Elon Musk saying things that every American believed in 10 years ago as to the foundational principles and the solidification and preservation of the republic are American ideas, regardless of liberal or conservative. To say now that Elon Musk promoting ideas that we tend to agree with makes him partisan is to legitimize the leftists' claim that they are a legitimate wing of American politics.
Well,
they're not. Progressives and their ideas, like every Democrat in 2019 raised their hand that they would open the borders. Every single one of them.
And they also raised their hand when they said, would you give free healthcare
to
right. illegal aliens?
They said, and Elon Musk responded to that tweet that I put out when I posted that video. And of the video that Badia Ungar Sargon posted about them wanting open borders. If you believe in having a secure border, that is a normal, middle-of-the-road American position that even Hillary Clinton was calling for a border barrier in 2008 to 2012. Now what we have is communists who are trying to legitimize the idea that it's actually a partisan position to destroy the country. And they had great success pushing those ideas forward through social media in the 2020 cycle. Elon Musk isn't coming out and saying industry should have this tax rate, and he's not coming out and saying pro-life or otherwise. He's not coming out and saying everyone should donate to the RNC. Republicans are the greatest political party. But what we're looking at right now is you have Phil's not a conservative. I'm not a conservative. Hannah Claire, you're probably a conservative.
Conservative.
We actually are a range of spectrum around left and right. Elon Musk would be somewhere in between and arguing with us. So it's not partisan at all. But what's happened now is the left is trying to legitimize the idea that their psychosis is legitimate politics. So my point is simply this. When the meme that Elon Musk posted exemplifies it pretty well. There's a left and a right in this country, and Elon is center left. Then
center left.
Then the far left comes out and says the most deranged psychotic things and claims they're the actual left, which moves the middle and puts Elon now in the right-wing position. Elon Musk is a leftist. Elon Musk has complained about climate change. Elon Musk has talked about progressive tax policy. Elon Musk holds tons of traditional liberal positions.
Elon Musk voted for Joe Biden, or at least so he says.
Probably.
There you go. Elon Musk has posted tons of things where conservatives have criticized him for holding liberal ideas. He's not being partisan by saying, I believe in thing that would keep America functioning, unless the argument is legitimate politics of this country are whether the country should exist or not exist. I certainly understand the left holds those views that the United States should not exist, but I don't believe it's a legitimate political discussion for a country to say, I hereby vote the country doesn't exist. No, you're an invasive force trying to destroy us. The legitimate conversation of this country is, we all agree we should preserve this country. Let's make it work. We're at war, however, in a cold civil war, whatever you want to call it. Elon Musk saying things that would make this country function is normal discourse.
Well, I think I take Elon at his word. I don't agree that he's center left. I think I take him at his word when he says he's a social liberal and an economic conservative. Left. Well, he's fiscal conservatism. I mean, that is
social liberal, fiscal conservatives is traditional Democrat, which is American center left.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a interesting way of looking at it. I don't necessarily disagree, but
so when you look up the academic terms, right? This was big when everyone said I'm a classical liberal, and I kept saying, no, you're not. Classical liberal means libertarian in American politics. Social liberal is close to Bernie Sanders, and traditional liberal is center-left libertarian.
So I've got a question for you about that.
Yeah.
you have said in the past that you liked Bernie.
Yep.
And I see Bernie as everything we're railing against. Because Bernie is as close to a communist or socialist as
Bernie Sanders in
someone you get
2016 is not Bernie Sanders in
A lot of people
2018.
do say that, but I think that's overstated. Because he's always been very socially progressive, and he's always been, very economically left wing, and I think that's undeniable.
And he jumped off the cliff.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, did he ever really advocate controlled immigration?
Open borders is a Koch brothers proposal, he said, in 2015. You cannot have open borders. The World Socialist website called him a nationalist capitalist for saying, I think in 2018, something like, oh my God, no, we can't have open borders. Everybody would flood this country. It can't work. That's Bernie Sanders. And then what happened is he realized he could be a millionaire and that who cares? What's the point anymore?
Do you think he's that cynical? I mean,
Absolutely.
he may be right.
How many houses does he own? A 3?
Yeah, I mean, he's a rich man.
I think he's less cynical and more a party person. And he's like, well, I can make money and I'm going to do what the party says. I think that he's more of a party pawn than an idea guy.
A lot of Trump supporters were originally Bernie supporters.
That is true, but I've always found that very strange.
Well, I think
but it makes perfect sense when Bernie Sanders in 2015 and 16 is saying, we need to help blue collar workers. We need to bring back manufacturing. We need to secure our borders. We need better trade agreements. And they're all going, this Bernie guy makes a lot of sense.
But do you really believe if Bernie had become president in 2016, America, 2 questions. Do you think that America would have secured its borders and be on the right track?
No, because Bernie Sanders is a pathetic, weak coward.
Well,
and that's why he lost. That's why the Democrats steamrolled him.
Well,
and that's
they kind of stole it from him, to be fair.
Yeah, because he's a pathetic, weak coward. And he whimpered and cried, and he said, I'll just take the $1 million and I'll go crawl away. And Donald Trump was the bull who smashed through the doors and said, don't F with me.
It's also fair to take into account the fact that people that used to like Bernie, like when they saw what the Democrats did to Bernie, that has something to do with the fact that they no longer like the Democrats. Like if they were like, yeah, I like Bernie and blah, 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 and they saw that the way the Democrats treated Bernie, it might be like, oh, wait a minute.
It's like
they're not nearly as they're not better than the Republicans like I thought they were. The Democrats are just as bad. So it doesn't matter if I go to the Republicans
hope
for Donald
anymore.
Trump.
Right.
I was in Anaheim, and there were 3 people, an older guy and 2 younger guys. They were hanging out. It was outside of a Trump rally. And I asked these guys, what are they doing? Why do they support Trump? And they said, actually, they were Bernie supporters. The older guy was like a factory worker. He had been in a union his whole life. The younger guys were fairly progressive, but they were friends. The older guy, I think they might have been related. And they said, look, we want Bernie. We think that he's got the experience in D.C. His consistency says to us that he means what he says, and we think he'll fight for the things he's talked about. And he's advocating for the union worker, the factory worker, the manufacturing base. He's advocating to secure our borders and get rid of the Koch brothers proposals. And when the DNC destroyed him, Donald Trump was our only choice. Shortly after meeting them, they were physically attacked by far leftists outside the Trump rally, and they were chased, smacked, and spit on. And these guys were, this is Anaheim. Yeah, these guys were like former Bernie guys.
I mean, I think part of it as well is I look at the most dangerous people in America, Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and they're all Bernie people. And I just I've always found it very difficult to square the eye. And you're absolutely right, of course, that a lot of Bernie people went over to vote for Trump and everything. But I've always found it very difficult idea to square that you can somehow transition from being a Bernie fan to being a Trump fan, because they are ultimately very, very different.
Their campaign policies were very much the same in 2015 and 16. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.